In a dimly lit lab, Howard Stark records a final message. If this power falls into the wrong hands, reality itself could break. Tony, I'm sorry. Suddenly the walls explode. Hydra agents storm in. Howard reaches for a gun, but freezes as a shadow looms over him. A cold voice speaks, "You should have stayed dead, Howard." Decades later, Tony Stark basks in luxury, unveiling his Iron Legion, a fleet of self-learning AI war drones. Pepper Potts warns him. Rhodey crosses his arms, his voice firm. The world isn't as simple as you think. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Nick Fury watches from a distance. His agents intercepted classified Hydra chatter. Stark has no idea what's coming. Afghanistan, what was meant to be a routine weapons demonstration, turns into a bloodbath. Explosions rip through the desert as Tony's own drones turn against him. Hijacked by an unseen force, a Black Ops strike team descends. As Tony is dragged through the dirt, his eyes lock onto a figure standing on a distant ridge, a cracked shield, a dark uniform. Steve Rogers. Captain America is alive, but he's not here to save him. Tony Stark wakes up in a Hydra base, chained and disoriented. Across from him sits Dr. Yinsen, a prisoner who reveals the horrifying truth. The doors slide open. Captain Hydra steps in. Steve Rogers, once the world's hero, now Hydra's deadliest weapon, throws an old recorder onto the table. Howard Stark's voice crackles through the static. Tony's world shatters. His father knew Steve was alive and what he had become. Hydra implants alien nanotech into Tony's chest, a power source tied to something far greater. It's killing him. With Yinsen's help, he builds the first arc reactor to stay alive, but survival isn't enough. He needs to escape. With Hydra closing in, Tony dons his first Iron Man suit, blasting through the facility. In the chaos, Yinsen is gunned down by Hydra soldiers. His final words urging Tony to make his life mean something. Fueled by rage, Tony destroys the Hydra base and flies into the night, only for his suit to fail midair. He crashes into the desert, battered but alive. As the dust settles, far behind, Captain Hydra watches from the wreckage. Tony Stark thought escaping Hydra was his victory, but the war had only begun. Back at Stark Industries, Tony makes a bold move, shutting down the weapons division, refusing to let his tech be used for destruction. But in the boardroom, Obadiah Stane, the man his father trusted, turns on him. "You're reckless, Tony! You're throwing away everything we built!" The board sides with Stane, but Tony doesn't care, because something bigger is happening. Something dangerous. That night, Jarvis picks up a signal. Hydra. Inside his company, Tony follows the digital breadcrumbs down into the hidden underbelly of Stark Industries. And there, his worst nightmare unfolds. Hydra has been using Stark tech for years. Then, a voice in the dark, cold, calculated. "Did you really think you built this empire alone?" Tony spins around. Obadiah Stane steps from the shadows. "You have your father's brilliance, Tony, but also his biggest weakness. He never knew when to step aside." Then Ironmonger awakens, a monstrous machine forged from stolen Stark technology, powered by an unstable arc reactor core. The fight is brutal. Tony dodges, fires, but Stane is relentless. Every strike shakes the ground, crushing metal, shattering concrete. Tony is losing. Then a new figure steps into the chaos. Captain Hydra. Tony freezes. His mind races. Why is Steve Rogers here? With a swift, merciless motion, Captain Hydra stabs Stane through the chest. Ironmonger sparks, surges. Stane gasps in shock. Betrayed! Tony can only watch as his former mentor collapses, defeated, and then Captain Hydra turns to him, a smirk forming. "You think you're fighting the real enemy? Then he's gone!" Vanished into the darkness, Tony stands alone, broken, shaken. This wasn't about Stark Industries. Hydra's plan is much, much bigger. Tony Stark, exhausted and wounded, standing in his lab surrounded by fragments of stolen Hydra files. His hands tremble as he activates a hidden recording from his father. "Tony! If you're hearing this, Project Omega has already fallen into the wrong hands. Hydra? No. They were never the real enemy. They were just trying to control what they never understood. But the real danger is coming. And it won't stop until everything is rewritten." Tony's eyes widen. He scans through decrypted blueprints and sees horrifying experiments. Hydra didn't just steal the arc reactor's energy. They used it to fuel something monstrous. Project Venom, a fusion of symbiote biology and gamma radiation. A horrifying realization hits him. They experimented on Bruce Banner. Meanwhile, Nick Fury travels to Kamartaj, meeting the Ancient One, who watches the arc reactor's energy flicker in a mystical pool. She speaks with an ominous tone. Tony Stark is a man of science, but even he must understand. This power was never his to wield. The arc reactor is not just a source of energy. It is a fracture in destiny itself. Back at a hidden Hydra facility, a monstrous growl rumbles through the room. The camera slowly pans up. A massive, black-veined Hulk, his skin pulsating with shifting symbiotic mass, his eyes glowing pure white. The reinforced chains shatter as a deafening roar shakes the entire facility. Venom-Hulk has awakened. Meanwhile, Tony suits up, his most advanced Iron Man armor gleaming in the darkness. He stares at his reflection, haunted by his father's final words. Jarvis warns him, "Sir, this battle may not be one you can win." Tony exhales sharply. "Yeah? Well, it wouldn't be the first time." With a surge of repulsor energy, he blasts off into the night toward the greatest battle of his life. Rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10. Done? All right. Now, enjoy the exclusive post-credit scene. The sky above cracks with golden energy. In the distance, a massive futuristic tower looms over a ruined New York, a vision from the future. Standing at its peak, a golden armored version of Tony Stark watches, and then in a distorted voice he whispers, "You weren't supposed to live."